across the vast expanse of the cosmos, where nebulae painted the void in swirling colors and stars glittered like scattered jewels. The Viridian Concorde reigned supreme. For countless millennia, their emerald-hued fleets had charted every known star lane, their technologies a symphony of light and precision, their culture one of refined logic and serene order. Their empire spanned 1,000 worlds, each a testament to their unwavering commitment to progress and stability. The Concorde's dominion was absolute, their influence unchallenged, their history untroubled by significant threats. Yet, even in their libraries of infinite data, whispers persisted of an age long past, of a species that defied all logic, a legend woven into the fabric of forgotten stellar nurseries. They were known by many names in the ancient records, often accompanied by warnings. The unsettled ones, the feral thinkers, and most disturbingly, the extreme environment adaptives. But the most common, the one that lingered like a chill in the void, was simply humans. The Viridian Concorde largely dismissed these tales as allegories, cautionary fables to illustrate the folly of unchecked aggression or chaotic growth. The humans, if they had ever existed outside of myth, were surely self-extinct, having succumbed to their own untamed natures. The very idea of a species that thrived on unpredictability and solved problems through sheer stubborn will was anathema to the elegant, structured minds of the Viridians. Their archived data suggested that humanity had vanished centuries ago, either by their own hand or by some cosmic event. The galaxy, the Concorde reassured itself, was safer for their absence. Then, the probes returned. Deep within the Etherium Veil, a nebula-shrouded sector long deemed too unstable for sustained travel, and thus untouched by Viridian expansion, a series of peculiar energy signatures had flickered to life. Grand strategist Xylos, a being of immense wisdom and impeccable emerald scales, studied the sensor readouts with a rare flicker of irritation. The Etherium Veil was a known haunt of peculiar cosmic phenomena, but these signatures were organized, too structured for stellar dust, too faint for a nascent star, too erratic for a dying sun. Perhaps a rogue pre-FTL civilization attempting crude FTL jumps, grand strategist, offered his chief science officer, a younger Viridian named La. Their emissions are rudimentary, almost inefficient. Xylos's triple-lidded eyes narrowed. Inefficient, lure, but persistent. And these echoes, are they not reminiscent of the archaic energy pulses described in the Chaos Cycles archives? Lure accessed the cross-reference data. The Chaos Cycles are largely considered fictional grand strategist, cautionary tales from the era of unification. They speak of a species that built ships of raw, unrefined metals that fought with kinetic projectiles rather than elegant energy lances. Legends or not, Xylos stated, his tone firm, anomalies must be investigated. We cannot permit any disruption to the Concorde's serene expansion. Prepare the vanguard of prosperity. We shall ascertain the source of these disturbances personally. The vanguard of prosperity was a jewel of Viridian engineering, its hull a shimmering, polished emerald, its energy conduits glowing with gentle, controlled power. It moved through the void with the grace of a celestial dancer, its weapon systems capable of carving star systems into dust with a single, synchronized volley. Xylos was supremely confident. This would be a simple reconnaissance, perhaps a gentle relocation of a nascent species that had strayed too close to the Veil's edge, or the dismantling of some forgotten pre-Concordian mining operation. Nothing that the vanguard could not handle with minimal effort. As they pierced the shimmering clouds of the Etherium Veil, the energy signatures intensified. On the main view screen, outlines began to resolve, ship shapes, many of them, but they were unlike any design the Viridians had catalogued. By the shards, Le breathed, his usually calm voice laced with surprise. They are crude. Their hulls are angular, almost jagged, no polished surfaces, no elegant curves. They appear to be patched even with signs of battle scarring. Xylos felt a surge of disdain. How primitive! Perhaps a derelict fleet or the remnants of some long-forgotten, desperate skirmish. Prepare to transmit standard Concordian hailing protocols. Offer aid and warn them of their intrusion into charted space. The hails were sent, a cascade of sophisticated universal translations, offering terms of surrender and assistance in equal measure. The response was immediate, yet utterly unexpected. It came not in a known galactic lingua franca, nor in the archaic dialects of the unification era, but in a tone so calm, so utterly devoid of fear or deference, that it struck Xylos as profoundly unsettling. "This is the stalwart of the human interstellar fleet," a voice, surprisingly resonant, stated over the comms. "You have encroached upon a protected zone. State your intentions or withdraw." Xylos's mandibles clicked in disbelief. "Human? Impossible. The humans are fables, ancient nightmares for fledglings. You are a lost colony, perhaps, deluded by forgotten histories. This is the grand strategist Xylos of the Viridian Concord. Surrender your vessels. Resistance is illogical." The voice from the stalwart remained perfectly level. "Resistance is our nature, grand strategist, and our intent is clear, to ensure the integrity of this zone. You were warned. Your options have expired." A low, collective murmur rippled through the Vanguard's bridge. The audacity was astounding. This primitive, seemingly dilapidated fleet dared to defy the Viridian Concord, the unchallenged masters of the galaxy. Xylos's emerald scales darkened. "You choose annihilation, then. Sensors confirm target lock. All weapon systems prepare for cleansing fire. Show these humans the might of the Concord." The Vanguard's weapon conduits pulsed with a dazzling, emerald light, charging for a massive, obliterating volley. But before the order could be fully articulated, the human fleet moved. It wasn't a tactical maneuver the Viridians understood. There was no graceful formation, no pre-calculated vector. Instead, it was a sudden, violent lurch, a chaotic burst of acceleration that sent the smaller, angular ships hurtling forward like hurled stones. They scattered, not in an orderly retreat, but in a seemingly random, yet terrifyingly precise, disarray. "They are breaking formation," Lur exclaimed, a hint of alarm in his voice. "This is illogical." "It is chaos, Lur," Xylos snarled. "A final desperate act, unleash the volley." But the Viridian volley, designed for grand, sweeping destruction, passed through the space where the human ships had just been. The primitive vessels had dispersed, their drives, crude as they appeared, delivering bursts of speed and agility that defied their bulk. Then they returned fire. Their weapons were not energy lances or plasma projectors. They were kinetic slug throwers, railguns that spat solid projectiles at near light speeds, and long, cylindrical missiles that left trails of dark smoke. The Viridian shields, designed to deflect focused energy and dissipate plasma, buckled under the sheer, brutal impact of the kinetic rounds. The first volley of human fire struck the Vanguard's forward shield, not with a brilliant flash, but with a series of concussive thuds that rattled the mighty vessel to its core. Alarms blared across the bridge. "Shields at 70%, a tactical officer cried out, his voice tinged with disbelief. "They are using solid projectiles. We are not optimized for this." Captain Eva Rostova, on the bridge of the Stalwart, watched the tactical display with a calm, predatory gaze. Her short, practical hair was pulled back. Her eyes, the color of a stormy sea, held a deep, ancient knowing. "Course correction. Arc left. Bring the ironclad and brawler into flanking position. Focus fire on their bridge and primary weapon arrays. We are not here to disable, we are here to demonstrate." Her voice, calm and steady, carried an undercurrent of resolve honed by centuries of patient waiting. Her crew, seasoned extreme environment adaptives like herself, moved with practiced efficiency, their hands dancing over the holographic controls. They were not fighting for conquest, not for glory, but for a principle. A very old principle. Back on the vanguard of prosperity, chaos was beginning to set in. Another salvo of human kinetic rounds slammed into the ship, this time targeting the main weapon arrays. The elegant emerald conduits flickered, then went dark, sparks showering across the deck. "Main energy lance offline," a technician shrieked. "Targeting systems compromised. They are bypassing our shields with blunt force." Xylos stared at the viewscreen, his mind struggling to reconcile what he was seeing with everything he knew about galactic warfare. These ships, these humans, fought without the refined grace, the measured calculation, the strategic formality the Concorde valued. They fought like predators. Swift, brutal, and without mercy for their targets' vulnerabilities. They exploited weaknesses the Viridians hadn't even considered. A cluster of the primitive, smoke-trailing missiles, seemingly too slow to be effective, somehow avoided the Vanguard's point defense systems, swarming towards a critical junction on the ship's aft. They detonated in unison, not with a grand explosion, but with a precise, tearing force. Structural integrity alarms shrieked. Hull breach, aft section compromised, reactor readings fluctuating. The vanguard of prosperity, jewel of the Viridian Concorde, was reeling. Its once pristine hull was scarred, its shields flickering precariously, its powerful weapons silenced. Xylos, a grand strategist who had never known anything but victory, felt a cold dread creep into his very core. He had underestimated them, severely. "Lur," he rasped, his voice strained. "Transmit a priority 1 distress signal to the Concorde capital. Inform them that the legends are real, and they are not as we remembered." On the Stalwart's bridge, Eva Rostova watched the Viridian flagship limping away, its elegant form now marred and broken. Her fleet, smaller in number but intact, held its position. The battle had lasted less than 10 minutes. Not a single human ship had suffered critical damage. They hadn't pursued the fleeing Viridian vessel. The message had been delivered. "Report, navigator," Rostova commanded, her voice calm. "Enemy flagship is retreating, Captain. It's crippled but capable of FTL jump. No other hostile signatures detected in the Veil. Our mission parameters are met." Eva nodded slowly, her gaze fixed on the receding, battered form of the Vanguard. "Good. Maintain position. The message must propagate. The galaxy has forgotten us for too long. Let them remember why they feared us." The silence in the Etherium Veil was heavy, broken only by the hum of the Stalwart's powerful engines. Elsewhere in the galaxy, the Viridian Concorde, secure in its millennia of dominion, was about to receive a truth it was wholly unprepared for. A truth carried by a crippled flagship and echoing through the void. The extreme environment adaptives, the humans, were not just legends. They were here, and their patience had run out. The stage was set. If you enjoyed this tale of humanity's reawakening, give us a like and subscribe to the channel for more epic HFY stories. What do you think will happen next for Captain Rostova and her fleet? Let us know in the comments below and tell us where in the world you are listening from. The crippled form of the Vanguard of Prosperity limped into the central docks of Viridia Prime. Its once gleaming emerald hull scarred and rent, trails of emergency repair foam still clinging to its wounds like desperate tears. The sight sent a collective shiver through the highly ordered Viridian capital. Never in the Concorde's recorded history had a flagship of its caliber returned from a mere reconnaissance mission in such a state of disrepair. Grand strategist Xylos, his scales dulled with exhaustion and a profound sense of disbelief, stood before the Viridian High Council. The chamber, usually a beacon of serene light and hushed deliberation, now vibrated with an agitated hum. Supreme Arbiter Voral, the eldest and most revered of the council, listened with unblinking eyes as Xylos recounted the impossible encounter in the Etherium Vale. "They are unlike any known species, Arbiter," Xylos stated, his voice devoid of its usual calm precision. "Their ships are crude, their weapons rudimentary kinetic projectors, yet they moved with an unpredictable agility, bypassing our energy shields with brute force. They are the extreme environment adaptives, the humans, from the ancient warnings, and they are very real." A ripple of murmurs, like wind through dry leaves, swept through the council. "Fables, Xylos," Arbiter Vorel finally responded, her voice a low, resonant hum. "Allegories. The archives clearly detail their self-destruction, their inherent instability. You speak of specters." "Specters that left the vanguard incapacitated in minutes," Xylos countered, a rare flash of frustration in his triple-lidded eyes. "Their methods are illogical, chaotic. They do not fight by any known doctrine. They exploit weaknesses that our elegant systems are not designed to perceive." Admiral Kale, a younger, fiercely proud Viridian commander known for his tactical brilliance and unwavering adherence to Concordian doctrine, stepped forward. His emerald scales shimmered with controlled indignation. "With all due respect, Grand Strategist, a single anomalous engagement does not signify a galactic threat. Their ships, as you describe them, cannot withstand a coordinated Concordian assault. This is a localized aberration. We will send the unwavering Resolve fleet. They will be swept away like cosmic debris." Vorel considered Kale's words, a faint glimmer of approval in her eyes. "Indeed. A small, unsophisticated group, perhaps a forgotten splinter colony, has stumbled upon ancient Terran vessels. They believe themselves mighty. We shall disabuse them of that notion. Admiral Kale, assemble the unwavering Resolve. Restore order. Show these humans the true might of the Concord." The Viridian Concord's war machine, though rarely deployed for full-scale conflict, was a marvel of galactic engineering. Shipyards across 100 systems hummed with renewed purpose, churning out vessels of exquisite design and devastating power. The unwavering Resolve fleet was a spectacle to behold. Thousands of emerald-hued warships, their energy lances pulsing with controlled might, their drone swarms poised to engulf any enemy in a whirlwind of precision-guided destruction. Admiral Kale commanded from the bridge of the Luminaria Prime, a vessel whose very presence could cow lesser species into submission. His strategy was flawless, elegant, and utterly logical. He would entrap the human fleet within the Etherium Vale, then systematically dismantle them. No chaotic maneuvers, no primitive kinetic impacts would withstand the synchronized power of the Concord. Deep within the shifting electromagnetic storms of the Etherium Vale, on the bridge of the Stalwart, Captain Eva Rostova watched the approaching Viridian Armada on her main tactical display. The sheer numerical superiority was daunting, enough to make any lesser species flee in terror. But the humans were not a lesser species, and fear was an emotion long since tempered by centuries of patient waiting. "Reports confirm Admiral Kale leading the assault, Captain," reported Jax, the Stalwart's tactical officer, a grizzled veteran with eyes that had seen too much and remembered everything. "His formations are textbook Concordian, tight, disciplined, utterly predictable once you know their parameters." Eva nodded slowly, a ghost of a smile playing on her lips. "Predictable. That is their strength and their undoing. They rely on logic, on systems. They expect us to meet them head-on, to play by their rules. We won't." She turned to her navigator, Anya, a young woman with a startlingly bright mind and an uncanny knack for reading impossible data. "Anya, confirm the integrity of the Vale's gravitational distortions and magnetic anomalies. We will use their own environment against them." "All parameters stable, Captain," Anya confirmed, her fingers dancing over the holographic console. "The Vale is a perfect trap, and our gifts are ready for delivery." The gifts were not conventional weapons. While the Viridian fleet meticulously executed its complex, multi-layered encirclement, the human ships did not engage. Instead, they began to deploy a series of small, barely detectable drones. These were not combat drones, but highly specialized instruments. Some pulsed with localized electromagnetic fields, subtly augmenting the veil's natural disturbances, creating pockets of violent energy fluctuations that wreaked havoc on Viridian sensor arrays. Others, more insidious, were repurposed from salvaged Viridian technology, silently infiltrating the Concorde's communication networks, feeding false tactical data, or subtly shifting the calibration of their long-range targeting systems. Admiral Cale watched, initially with calm confidence, as his fleet pressed its advantage. But then, anomalies began to plague his highly ordered sensors. "Commander, confirm that reading," he commanded, his voice tight. "My sensors indicate a sudden gravitational spike in Sector Gamma 7. That is impossible. The veil's fluctuations are charted." "Confirmed, Admiral," his bridge officer replied, confusion in his tone. "Multiple gravitational distortions, appearing and disappearing erratically. Our targeting solutions are fluctuating wildly. Point defense systems are engaging ghost targets." The unwavering Resolve fleet, designed for graceful, sweeping attacks in open space, found itself increasingly disoriented. Their precise formations were disrupted by phantom gravitational wells, their synchronized volleys fired into empty void as human ships, their crude drives belching gouts of superheated plasma, darted through the unpredictable chaos like vengeful wasps. It wasn't combat as the Viridians understood it. It was an elaborate game of misdirection and environmental exploitation. The humans weren't fighting the fleet, they were fighting the Viridian mindset. Eva Rostova watched the Viridian fleet unravel on her tactical display, a grim satisfaction in her eyes. They are predictable in their rigidity. Break their logical chains and they stumble. Jax, time for the next phase. Initiate Silent Gambit. Silent Gambit was a strategy born from desperation, and a thorough understanding of the Viridian Concorde's most fundamental weakness: its absolute reliance on centralized data and control. While Cale's massive fleet remained entangled in the engineered chaos of the Etherium Veil, a smaller, highly specialized human detachment had quietly detached. These were not warships, but repurposed civilian transports, their hulls lined with advanced stealth plating and equipped with Viridian-scavenged FTL drives. Their destination, Cognitorium Prime. Cognitorium Prime was not a military target. It was the vast, crystalline world that served as the central data repository of the entire Viridian Concorde. Every historical record, every strategic plan, every scientific discovery, every cultural artifact, every bit of knowledge that defined the Viridians was stored within its glittering, protected spires. It was considered inviolable, guarded by automated defense systems and a small, ceremonial planetary guard more accustomed to welcoming scholars than repelling invaders. The very idea of an attack on such a world was anathema, an illogical impossibility that the Viridians had never accounted for in their defensive protocols. The human transports, guided by Viridian star charts acquired from the Vanguard's crippled systems, slipped through the outer defensive nets of the Concorde's core systems like phantoms. Their stealth technology, cobbled together from disparate parts and ancient human ingenuity, was rough but astonishingly effective against the Viridian energy-based detection systems. The Concorde had assumed any threat would approach with overwhelming force, not with subtle infiltration. On Cognitorium Prime, the alarm bells were already ringing, but too late. The planetary guard, composed mostly of ceremonial automatons and thinly armored administrative security units, was utterly unprepared for the ferocity of the human assault teams that descended from the sky. These were the elite of the extreme environment adaptives, soldiers whose training went beyond conventional warfare. They were harsh worlders, accustomed to fighting in environments that would perish most species. They came in sleek, dark dropships, barely visible against the twilight sky of Cognitorium Prime. Once on the ground, they moved with a frightening efficiency. Unlike the drone-reliant Viridian security forces, the humans fought in exosuits that augmented their already formidable strength, their kinetic weapons tearing through the light Viridian armor. They did not rely on complex battle plans, they adapted on the fly, exploiting every weakness, every vulnerability. They were direct, brutal, and terrifyingly effective. A squad of human operatives, led by a stern-faced officer named Major Kalen, breached the primary data spire of Cognitorium Prime. The interior was a breathtaking display of crystalline conduits and flowing data streams, a testament to Viridian logic and beauty. Kalen felt no awe. His orders were absolute. "Secure the central nexus," he barked, his voice distorted by his helmet comms. "Plug in the data siphon. We don't just erase, we take." The Viridian Planetary Guard, overwhelmed and outmatched, fought bravely but futilely. Their elegant energy weapons, designed for precision, were useless against the close quarters, chaotic melee the humans excelled at. These extreme environment adaptives did not fight for territory, they fought for an objective. And their objective was the very heart of the Concorde. Back on the Luminaria Prime, Admiral Kale slammed his multi-jointed fist against his console. "This is chaos! We are being baited! Their main fleet is still within the veil, but our systems are compromised. Where are these phantom readings coming from?" Suddenly, a Priority 1 alert flashed across his screen. It wasn't from the Etherium Veil. It was from Viridia Prime, from Supreme Arbiter Voral herself. Kale accessed the message, his mandibles clicking in frustration. As the Arbiter's image resolved, her calm facade was utterly shattered, her emerald scales almost pale with shock. "Admiral Kale," Voral's voice was strained, laced with a fear Kale had never heard before. "Cognitorium Prime, it has fallen. They have taken the central data nexus. The humans, they are not here for battle. They are here for our knowledge. They are learning us." A cold dread spread through Kale's circuits. The fall of a military outpost was one thing. The capture of Cognitorium Prime, the very brain of the Concorde, was an unimaginable catastrophe. It meant every Viridian tactical database, every scientific breakthrough, every historical secret, every cultural pattern was now exposed. And worse, it meant the humans could turn that knowledge against them. On the Stalwart, Eva Rostova stood before a newly updated holographic star chart. Instead of just hostile red markers, large sections of the Viridian Concorde's territory now pulsed with a chilling, vibrant amber. These were not conquered worlds, not yet. These were territories where human data siphons had established a foothold, where Viridian communication protocols had been compromised, where ancient knowledge was being digested, analyzed, and repurposed. "Report on Cognitorium Prime's data transfer, Jax," Eva commanded, her voice calm, utterly devoid of triumph, only a deep, unsettling resolve. "Transfer complete, Captain," Jax replied, a rare tremor in his voice. "All accessible data, including their master strategy archive and species vulnerability compendium, has been secured. Their entire history, their every weakness, now resides within our systems." Eva stared at the glowing amber regions on the map, a map that now told a completely different story of the galaxy. "Good. The first lesson is complete. Now for the real work. Jax, plot a course for the Heart Nexus. It's time they understood the true meaning of retribution. And prepare the first phase of the Echoes of Memory Protocol. Let every Viridian in the Concorde hear the true, unfiltered history they tried to bury." The stage was not merely set, it was collapsing around the Viridian Concorde. The legends had returned, not just with steel and fire, but with cunning, with ruthless efficiency, and with a terrifying capacity to learn. They were not just a threat, they were a reckoning. and they now held the keys to the Viridian's own downfall. The entire galaxy was about to learn that humanity, the extreme environment adaptives, did not forget. Not ever. If you are absolutely riveted by this tale of human ingenuity against overwhelming odds, don't just sit there. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a single beat of humanity's epic return. Did you know the Viridian Concorde's primary power source is concentrated thought projection? Think that will come into play? Let us know your wildest theories in the comments below and tell us which corner of the cosmos you're watching from. The emerald heart of the Viridian Concorde, once throbbing with serene confidence, now beat with the frantic pulse of a collapsing star. Admiral Kale, his scales dull with the weight of unforeseen defeat, rallied his shattered forces, pulling every available warship, every armed transport, every ceremonial guard vessel from the core systems. He had to believe in the Concorde's inherent superiority, in the logical inevitability of their victory. They had thousands of years of unchallenged dominion behind them. These humans, these extreme environment adaptives, as the chillingly accurate ancient texts now revealed them to be, could not simply dismantle an empire built on precision and harmony. Yet they were. The echoes of memory protocol, unleashed by the humans immediately after the fall of Cognitorium Prime, was far more devastating than any energy lance. Across every Viridian comm channel, every public display, every personal comm unit, the suppressed history of their ancestors began to play. Holographic projections shimmered into existence, not of victorious Concordian fleets, but of burning worlds. Worlds teeming with life, vibrant and green, now engulfed in artificial fire. The faces of beings, not Viridian but undeniably human, screaming in silent terror as their homes were consumed. Unfiltered, unedited, the chilling sounds of kinetic bombardment and orbital cleansing from millennia past, the very acts the Viridian ancestors had committed to. Cleanse the galaxy of chaos, now echoed through every Viridian city. The historical records, once categorized as allegories of pre-civilized eras in the Concorde's carefully curated archives, now played out as raw, undeniable truth. Billions of lives extinguished, entire systems purged, a species hunted to the very brink of oblivion, all for the sake of galactic stability and the elimination of a perceived threat to Viridian expansion. The Concorde had not forgotten humanity, it had erased them. And now the true cost of that erasure was being laid bare. Panic, a raw, illogical emotion the Viridians rarely experienced, rippled through their populations. Soldiers hesitated, their resolve shaken by the horrifying truth. Civilians, who had always believed in the inherent goodness and wisdom of their leaders, now stared at the screens in disbelief, then in disgust. The very foundation of their serene society, built on a carefully constructed narrative of benevolent progress, began to crack. Supreme Arbiter Vorel, witnessing the widespread demoralization, ordered the immediate cessation of all external transmissions. "Seal the networks," she commanded, her voice strained. "Block these vile fables, they are psychological warfare." But it was too late. The humans, having siphoned every bite of Viridian knowledge from Cognitorium Prime, knew their enemy. They knew the Viridians were not just logical but deeply rooted in their historical narrative. Disrupt that narrative, and you disrupt their very sense of self. The echoes of memory protocol was not merely a broadcast. It was an infection, a virus of truth designed to dismantle an empire from within. Human-operated data siphons, already embedded deep within Viridian core systems from the Cognitorium Prime infiltration, continued to rebroadcast the raw, unedited footage, bypassing every attempt at censorship. Captain Eva Rostova, on the bridge of the Stalwart, watched the internal collapse of Viridian society with a cold, almost detached intensity. "Their rigid adherence to their own manufactured history is their greatest vulnerability," she murmured, her voice calm. "They are unprepared for the truth of their own past. It breeds chaos, and chaos is our element." Jax, the tactical officer, nodded. "Their response fleets are struggling with internal dissent, Captain. Several minor skirmishes reported between their own security forces and civilian protesters demanding answers. Their projected fleet strength has dropped by nearly 15% due to desertions and insubordination." "Excellent," Eva replied. "Now for the Heart Nexus. Their central energy accumulator, their spiritual core, and the symbol of their absolute control over galactic travel. We will not merely destroy it, we will illuminate it with the flames of their forgotten atrocities." The Heart Nexus was a marvel of Viridian engineering, a colossal artificial star orbiting Viridia Prime, channeling vast amounts of stellar energy to power their entire network of systems and FTL lanes. It was more than just an energy source. It was the sacred heart of their dominion, a symbol of their mastery over the cosmos. Its defenses were legendary. Orbital defense platforms bristling with hypervelocity particle cannons, a constant patrol of elite guard fleets, and a unique, shimmering shield matrix designed to deflect any known form of energy or kinetic attack. It was considered inviolable, impregnable. Admiral Kale, desperate to reclaim some semblance of control, positioned the remnants of the unwavering Resolve fleet around the Heart Nexus. He knew the humans would come for it. It was the logical next target. "This is where we make our stand," he announced, his voice ringing with forced resolve. "They may have crippled our data, but they cannot breach the Nexus. It is shielded by the very energy it generates, a perfect defense. We will draw them in, then unleash every weapon in a coordinated, decisive strike. We will prove the Concorde's might once and for all." The human fleet arrived not in a grand, frontal assault, but in scattered, unpredictable waves. Their ships, still appearing crude and battle-scarred, darted through the void, their drives flaring in erratic patterns. They seemed to ignore the defense platforms, dancing through the torrent of energy fire like ghosts. Kale watched, his circuits straining to understand. They weren't engaging. They were circling. "They are not attacking, Admiral," a tactical officer cried. "They are deploying something. Small, highly agile craft like shuttles. They're heading for the Nexus shield." Eva Rostova's plan was audacious and utterly human. Knowing the Nexus shield was impenetrable to direct attack, she had ordered the deployment of Breaching Spore's hundreds of tiny, one-person craft, piloted by the most daring and specialized harshworlders of her fleet. These craft were not armed with weapons, but with highly focused, repurposed Viridian shield emitter technology, scavenged and re-engineered on the fly by human engineers. Their mission, to exploit the Nexus shield's very perfection. The Viridian shield matrix was designed to evenly distribute incoming energy across its surface, dissipating it harmlessly. The breaching spores, moving with suicidal precision, were designed to create microscopic, localized resonances within that shield. Not to break it, but to disrupt its harmonic equilibrium. As the breaching spores streaked towards the Nexus, the Viridian defense platforms finally focused their fire, their particle cannons tearing through the void. Many of the tiny human craft were obliterated, consumed by emerald fire. But humans were relentless. More followed, their pilots weaving through the deadly gauntlet, fueled by a purpose millennia in the making. "Admiral, they are still penetrating," the tactical officer shrieked. "Their tiny craft are reaching the shield surface. They are not weaponized, but they are causing strange distortions in the shield field." Kale watched in horror as the shimmering surface of the Nexus shield began to ripple, not from impact, but from an internal tremor. Microscopic instabilities, like tears in the fabric of reality, flickered across its surface. "It is a resonance cascade," a Viridian shield technician screamed, his voice filled with despair. "They are not breaking the shield, they are causing it to tear itself apart. Its own energy is turning against it." It was a tactic that defied Viridian logic, an elegant system turned against itself by brute, chaotic ingenuity. The humans had understood that the shield's perfection was its flaw. A system designed to be unbreaking could also be unbending, unable to adapt to subtle, internal disruption. As the Nexus shield began to flicker and fail, its immense energy rippling outwards in violent, uncontrolled bursts, the main human fleet moved in. Not for destruction, not yet. This time they deployed massive, modified transports, their hulls lined with thousands of high-definition projectors. These were the true carriers of the echoes of memory. As the transports positioned themselves around the failing heart nexus, the ancient, horrifying images of the Viridian genocide began to play out in the void itself. Giant, ghostly projections of burning human worlds, of fleeing civilian ships being vaporized, of the cold, calculated extermination of a nascent species, shimmered across the vastness of space. They were so large, so vivid, that they dwarfed the Viridian warships. Every Viridian citizen on Viridia Prime, every soldier in the remaining fleet, was forced to witness the unspeakable truth of their empire's founding. The light from the heart nexus, symbol of their power, now illuminated the atrocities of their past. Admiral Kale stared, mesmerized and horrified, as his ancestral shame played out on a galactic canvas. His elegant tactical plans, his unwavering belief in Viridian superiority, crumbled around him. The humans were not just fighting a war, they were delivering a cosmic judgment. "Their weapon is not fire, Admiral," his communications officer whispered, his voice broken. "It is a truth. We cannot fight this." The Viridian defense fleets, already demoralized by the echoes of memory and disoriented by the chaos in the Etherium Veil, found their resolve shattering under the weight of such unbearable revelation. Ships began to break formation, their crews paralyzed by a profound moral crisis. Some even began to turn their elegant weapon lances downwards, towards their own planets, as if to cleanse themselves of the inherited guilt. Eva Rostova watched the Viridian fleet's disintegration. Their psychological defense, the shield of their carefully constructed history, was breached. "Jax," she commanded, her voice steady, "prepare the final phase of the Echoes of Memory protocol. Link to every remaining Viridian vessel, every planetary defense network. Let them see the face of their reckoning." On every Viridian view screen, every display, the horrifying images of the genocide faded, replaced by a single stark image, the face of Captain Eva Rostova. Her eyes, ancient and unwavering, seemed to bore into the very soul of every Viridian. "Viridian Concord," her voice echoed across the cosmos, calm and resonating with the weight of centuries of suffering. "Your empire was built on a lie. Your serenity was purchased with the destruction of billions. For millennia, you buried your shame, thinking the void would consume our memory. But humanity does not forget. We are the inheritors of that memory. We are the echoes of a truth you tried to silence." Her image flickered, replaced by the face of Major Kalen, standing amidst the crystalline ruins of Cognitorium Prime. Then, the grim, unyielding faces of other human commanders, each bearing the same chilling certainty. The extreme environment adaptives, born from the ashes of worlds, had returned. "We came not for conquest," Eva's voice continued, "but for clarity. Your heart nexus now shines with the truth of your crimes. Your master strategy archive has revealed every weakness. Your people now carry the weight of their ancestors' transgressions." The remaining Viridian fleets, their defenses crumbling, their command structures in disarray, watched in stunned silence. The war they were fighting was no longer about territory or power. It was about existence. And humanity was making it clear they were not here to eliminate, but to judge. And the judgment had been a long time coming. Admiral Kale, his elegant scales now dull and lifeless, watched the human fleet position itself. They were not firing, not yet, but the message was clear. The Nexus, their very heart, was theirs, and the shame of their history now hung in the void, illuminated for all to see. "What do they want now?" Arbiter Vorel's voice crackled over the comms, a plea, a whisper of desperate uncertainty. Eva Rostova's voice, calm and resolute, was the only answer. "We want an end, not just to your empire, but to the silence, and the beginning of true accountability." A final, shuddering wave of energy ripped through the heart nexus as its shield fully collapsed, bathing Viridia Prime in an unsettling, pulsing light that revealed every shadow, every crack in the elegant facades of its cities. The Concorde had been stripped bare, exposed. Its heart was vulnerable, its mind compromised, its soul laid open. Humanity had not yet fired the final shot, but the Viridian Concorde knew with chilling certainty that their reign was irrevocably over. The true reckoning was about to begin. If you thought the Viridian Concorde was in trouble before, just wait. What do you think humanity's true accountability will look like? Will the galaxy ever be the same? Don't miss the epic conclusion. Make sure to like this video, share it with your fellow HFY enthusiasts, and hit that subscribe button so you're first in line for the thrilling final part. What's your favorite piece of forgotten history in this story? Let us know in the comments below. The air on Viridia Prime hung thick with the dust of shattered certainty. The heart nexus, its shimmering shield finally dissipated, pulsed with a raw, unstable light, casting long, dancing shadows across the now vulnerable spires of the capital city. Its immense power, once harnessed with elegant precision, now flared erratically, a testament to the chaos humanity had sown. Admiral Kale, standing on the Luminaria Prime's bridge, watched the spectral images of ancient atrocities continue to play out in the void, illuminated by the failing nexus. His fleet, once a bastion of order, was fracturing. Many vessels had gone dark, their crews abandoning posts, unable to reconcile the truth of their past with the serene narrative of their present. Supreme Arbiter Vorel's voice, once commanding, now crackled with brittle despair over the emergency comms. "Admiral Kale, what is their demand? What terms do they propose? We can negotiate. The Concorde is willing to offer reparations to acknowledge past errors." Kale looked at the flickering image of his Supreme Arbiter, her scales pale with terror, and a bitter understanding settled within him. The humans would offer no terms. They had bypassed diplomacy for centuries, building their strength in the shadows, nourishing their purpose. Their justice was not a negotiation. It was a cosmic rebalancing. On the Stalwart's Bridge, Captain Eva Rostova watched the Viridian High Command's desperate attempts at communication flicker across her tactical displays. Her face remained a mask of calm resolve. "They believe we seek retribution in kind," she stated, her voice quiet but carrying immense weight. "They expect us to become what they were, conquerors, destroyers. They do not understand the human concept of accountability." Jax, the tactical officer, studied the Viridian communications. "Their inner defense grid is collapsing, Captain. Planetary shields are failing. Ground forces are in disarray. We could initiate orbital bombardment, neutralize their leadership within minutes." Eva's gaze shifted from the tactical display to the image of the now exposed heart nexus, pulsing with wild, untamed energy. "No, not yet. We did not cross the void to become their mirror. We came to show them a different kind of ending, a more profound one." She turned to her chief engineer, a gruff, scarred man named Torvin, whose hands were always stained with grease and innovation. "Torvin, confirm the Nexus stabilization sequence is ready. The energy output is dangerously volatile. We need to contain it, then repurpose it." Torvin nodded, a grim satisfaction in his eyes. "Ready, Captain. The hijacked Viridian protocols are integrating with our own containment algorithms. It's a delicate operation, harnessing that much raw power, but our engineers are the best. It'll be a beautiful thing, Captain. A true show of force, without a single shot fired in anger." Eva returned her attention to the main view screen, where the Viridian capital, Viridia Prime, now lay utterly exposed beneath the heart nexus. The ancient truth of their genocide still shimmered in the void around it, a constant, silent accusation. "Prepare the galactic broadcast," Eva commanded, her voice rising, filling the bridge with its steady resonance. "Open channels to every known species, every civilization in this quadrant. Let the entire galaxy bear witness to this final act of clarity." On Viridia Prime, Supreme Arbiter Vorel and her surviving council members huddled in the central bunker, the ground trembling as the unstable heart nexus raged above them. The last of their fleet, battered and broken, offered no protection. They awaited the inevitable, the crushing blow that would obliterate their world. Suddenly, a voice, calm and resonating with ancient power, filled their bunker. It was Eva Rostova's. Her image appeared on the main screen, her eyes unwavering. "Viridian Concord," Eva's voice began, echoing across not just Viridia Prime, but across hundreds of systems as the human broadcast spread, unblockable, through the compromised Concordian network. "You believed you had eradicated us. You extinguished worlds, purged records, and built an empire on a lie. We have shown you the truth of your foundations. We have exposed the cost of your serenity." Silence. No grand declarations of conquest, no demands for surrender. The Viridian leaders held their breath, waiting for the condemnation, the sentence of their own destruction. "Humanity," Eva continued, her voice resonating with an almost spiritual calm, "does not seek to replace one tyranny with another. We do not aspire to rule through fear, nor to build our future upon the ashes of others. Your empire is ended, not by our force of arms, but by the weight of your own history. Your heart nexus, once the symbol of your dominion, now stands as a monument to your past transgressions." Just then, on every screen across the galaxy, the heart nexus began to change. Its wild, chaotic energy stabilized, then began to shift. Instead of raw, destructive power, it began to emit a steady, shimmering cascade of light. Not the harsh green of Viridian energy, nor the cold blue of conventional stars, but a vibrant, multi-hued spectrum, a rainbow of pure, unfiltered energy. The projected images of burning human worlds, still lingering around the nexus, seemed to be purified by this new light, fading into the spectrum, as if absorbed and transformed. "We will not destroy the nexus," Eva's voice announced, a revelation that shocked Viridians and observing species alike. "We will not dismantle it. Instead, we will transform it. Its power will no longer be hoarded, its energy will no longer fuel an oppressive empire. From this moment forth, the heart nexus will become the nexus of open paths." A collective gasp swept through the Viridian bunker. The nexus of open paths? "Its vast energy reserves will be redirected," Eva explained, her words carrying perfect clarity across the cosmos. "Its power will now fuel a galactic network of open FTL lanes, lanes accessible to all, without Concordian tithing, without Viridian approval. Every species, every fledgling civilization will have the right to explore, to connect, to thrive, free from the dictates of any single power." The implications reverberated like a seismic shockwave. The Viridian Concord's millennia-long control over galactic trade, travel, and diplomacy, built upon their exclusive access to and management of these critical FTL pathways, was being unilaterally and irrevocably dismantled. The Nexus, their ultimate weapon of economic and political control, was being turned into an instrument of galactic freedom. "This is not a gift," Eva clarified, her eyes hardening slightly. "It is the first installment of accountability. The price for your ancestors' atrocities is not your downfall, but your forced contribution to a future free from such tyranny. The resources of the former Concord will be redirected to establish a galactic welfare initiative, providing aid and technological assistance to species once oppressed or stifled by your rule." The images on the galactic broadcast shifted. Now they showed human teams not in battle armor but in clean, specialized suits, moving through the command centers of the Nexus, deftly rerouting its immense power. They were not destroying, they were building, transforming. The Viridian people, Eva continued, her voice softening slightly, will be permitted to rebuild. Their culture, their science, their art will be preserved, but their military will be dissolved. Their leaders, those who participated in the suppression of history and the perpetuation of your empire's false narrative, will be held accountable. Not with violence, but with enforced re-education and exile. Those who wish to integrate into the new galactic network, who embrace transparency and cooperation, will be given the opportunity to do so. This was humanity's ultimate, heck yeah, moment. Not through superior firepower or overwhelming force, though they possessed both, but through an utterly unexpected form of justice. They had not come to conquer, but to dismantle. Not to punish with destruction, but with fundamental, irreversible change. They had not sought to replace one master with another, but to liberate an entire galaxy from the shackles of a hidden, oppressive past. Across the cosmos, other species watched in stunned silence. The warlike Cathar, who respected only strength, found themselves in awe of this unprecedented display of strategic, non-destructive power. The scholarly Xylosians, who revered knowledge, were both horrified by the Viridians' historical deceptions and fascinated by humanity's radical application of truth. The mercantile Gishar, who understood only profit, reeled at the sudden, complete restructuring of the galactic economy. The humans had not just won a war, they had redefined the very meaning of galactic power. The aftermath on Viridia Prime was one of stunned, disbelieving quiet. No fires raged, no cities were obliterated. Instead, a new light streamed from the Nexus, a beacon of impartial energy. The remaining Viridian fleet, its chain of command shattered, its purpose dissolved, simply floated in orbit, their weapons silent, their magnificent vessels now little more than ornate, empty shells. Supreme Arbiter Voral, stripped of her authority, her traditional emerald robes replaced by a simple, unadorned garment, was led away by two human observers. Her eyes, once filled with serene confidence, now held a profound, bewildering emptiness. The weight of millennia of suppressed truth had crushed her more effectively than any energy lance. The Viridian Concord, the unchallenged masters of the galaxy for countless ages, had fallen. Not with a bang, but with the quiet, devastating force of exposed truth and a radical reimagining of their very purpose. Humanity, having delivered their cosmic judgment, did not linger. Their fleets, having revealed their ancient strength and their unique form of justice, began to withdraw, leaving behind a fundamentally reshaped galaxy. The Nexus of open paths, humming with its multi-hued energy, became a permanent fixture, an unyielding promise of free exploration and shared prosperity. The galaxy was irrevocably changed. New alliances began to form, free from the old constraints of Viridian oversight. Species that had once feared to venture beyond their home systems now found the pathways open to them, beckoning them towards discovery and connection. The threat of a powerful, aggressive force was replaced by the quiet, unwavering presence of a species that had shown the cosmos a new, unsettling definition of strength. The power of truth, resilience, and a justice that sought not annihilation, but transformation. Captain Eva Rostova, on the bridge of the Stalwart, watched the Nexus of open paths pulse with its beautiful, chaotic light. Her mission was complete. The ancient debt had been paid not in blood, but in revelation. Humanity had returned from the shadows not as conquerors, but as arbiters. They had demonstrated that true power lay not in dominion, but in the unwavering pursuit of balance and the courage to illuminate forgotten truths. "Where to now, Captain?" Jax asked, his voice filled with a mixture of weariness and quiet satisfaction. Eva turned, a faint, almost imperceptible smile touching her lips. Home, Jacks, back to the Vale. We have shown them who we are. Now let them build their own future, but let them never forget the lessons of the past. Humanity will be watching. Not from the shadows anymore, but from the open paths we helped create. The stalwart, along with the rest of the human fleet, turned gracefully, their crude but powerful drives flaring, and began their journey back into the protective embrace of the Etherium Vale, leaving behind a galaxy forever altered, forever remembering the legendary race that had returned not for revenge, but for reckoning. The silence they left in their wake was not one of absence, but of profound, galactic change, a new dawn ushered in by the unyielding spirit of humanity. For more epic HFY stories that celebrate the indomitable spirit of humanity, hit that subscribe button. If you were captivated by this thrilling finale, please like this video and share it with your friends. And tell us in the comments, what was your favorite moment from this entire series, and what do you think the future holds for a galaxy touched by the legendary humans? Your thoughts fuel our next adventure.